And now, your host, Couch Tomato!
Hey, I'm Couch Tomato, and today I'm joined by...
Hulk.
Welcome to Stuff for Movie Buffs, and today we're talking...
Our top 3 movies so far.
All right, perfect. Let's get into it. All right, for starters, before we get started, if you would like to support the show, whether that be the podcast or the YouTube channel, head over to our Patreon. A link is in the description for that. This past week, we had somebody produce their own 24 Reasons video. If that's something that you're interested in, go ahead and visit our Patreon to find out how. Or if you just want to talk movies with us, we have a private group chat with all of our Patreon members. So visit the link in the description to find out how to do that as well. So let's get into it. So today we'll be talking about our top 3 movies of the year so far. Because we're at the midway point. We're at like literally the middle of the year. Today is July 1st when we're recording this podcast. So we have 6 months remaining in the year. So we're going to look at the past 6 months on and see how the movies that we saw in theaters fit into our top 3. And we're also going to look at the back half of the year and really anticipate some upcoming films and really discuss if there's a possibility that those films will jump into our top 3 before the year is over. So this is all projection, speculation, and anticipation at this point. So let's get into our top 3 films of the year. So far, Hope, midway point, what do you have as your top 3?
All right, for me, I have Black Panther at number 3, A Quiet Place at number 2, and Avengers Infinity War number 1.
All right, I'll say mine, and then we'll kind of discuss, how you landed with that top 3. But got A Quiet Place at number 3. Finally saw that. Got Ready Player One at number 2. And I got Avengers Infinity War at number 1. So you want to talk about your ranking or, any movies? I noticed some movies were left off that I know you loved. So how did that list come together?
It was kind of tough because I kept debating back and forth between Ready Player One and Black Panther. But it's like, I don't know. It's just like with those 2 movies especially, it was tough for me to not to knock off like Black Panther because of the impact it had on the culture, because of the performance of Michael B. Jordan. And I haven't seen Ready Player One yet, so I'm not sure like how the repeat viewing is going to be. So it was still like hard for me to make.
You haven't seen it again yet?
Yeah.
You haven't seen it?
Because I always like this. To me, like with movies, it's just like that initial reaction is important for me, but also certain movies is just like with repeat viewings. Like if I could watch you all the time, like it helps. You're always gonna be higher on my list, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, but yeah, like, and then with Quiet Place, it's just like I'm glad that you finally saw it. It's just like technically it was just so good, like just the way it was edited. It was the storyline is just so good. Like I just felt like it just had to be, in the top, 1 or 2. And then, Avengers Infinity War, obviously, I love it. Like, it was just, that's a movie that, to me, it's my favorite Marvel movie so far. So, it's definitely.
It jumps higher as the months go by. Because I had it right under Avengers, but I might change that. Who knows when the Blu-ray comes out. Mm-hmm. But just like you, unlike you, I'm not doing like a Dave Chappelle skit to where my blackness won't allow me to convict Michael Jackson. Your blackness won't allow you to not pick Black Panther. I'm joking, but still. So basically, same thing you said about the rewatchability thing. Mm-hmm. I loved Incredibles 2 when I first saw it. I still love it. I actually saw it twice. I got a chance to see it by myself, and I took the kids to a drive-in to see it. So basically with Incredibles 2 or Upgrade, they could have snuck into my top 3. So Black Panther is out of my top 5. And that shows you how my list is. But the difference is with the films that I just named, sneaking into my top 3 was about the rewatchability factor. I've seen Avengers, Infinity War, and Ready Player One multiple times, and it holds up or gets better every time I watch it. I've seen Incredibles 2 multiple times, and the second viewing is still great, but I like Ready Player One's second and third time that I watched it a little bit more than the other movies that I just named. The only thing that I have in my top 3 that I've seen once is A Quiet Place. And I've seen A Quiet Place and Upgrade once. And I admire them for being different. And I also respect the low budgets. So the acting was better in A Quiet Place. So I put it in my top 3 and give it the edge over Upgrade. But that's that. Still, with the movies that we're naming, you can't really argue. I mean, they're good films. So I thought this year was going to be totally whack, and I'm totally surprised. So this is what we're going to do. You just listed your top 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I listed my top 3. So purely speculation at this point. We already have basically the slate for the remainder of the year. There may be a couple of things that sneak into it, especially with like during Oscar season, it's movies you've never heard of for all of the first half of 2018 that you'll suddenly start hearing about in September, in October, and even in August, to where they'll start promoting it. So we don't know those films yet unless you're like really doing your research on IMDb. But with the movies that we know are coming out for the remainder of the year, I want to look at those, and I want us to start guessing. Like if I were to ask you New Year's of 2019, what are your favorite 2018 movies? Is there any chance that your top 3 could be altered based off of the upcoming slate, if that makes any sense? So I want us to look at July releases all the way up to December releases. And I want you to guess and say, hey, I have this movie circled. I wouldn't be surprised if it pops into my top 3 and kicks out Black Panther, or kicks out A Quiet Place, or kicks out, I forgot what your third movie was in your top 3, but any chance that those movies get kicked out. So we'll jump into July 1st. So what I'll do is I'll read the popular releases. If there's anything that's a little bit under the radar that you want to mention, feel free. But for July, here are the popular films that we have coming up. Mission Impossible Fallout, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Unfriended, Dark Web, Equalizer 2, Hotel Transylvania 3, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, Skyscraper, and The First Purge. So any of those heavy hitters on your radar this year, and could they possibly sneak into your top 3 when it's all said and done? Okay,
right off the bat, at first glance, it has to be Mission Impossible Fallout. That franchise just, keeps getting better with age. They did such.
Are you sure about that?
What do you mean? I'm positive. I'm positive.
Ghost Protocol is better than Rogue Nation, but I feel you. But I feel like Ghost Protocol is better than Rogue Nation.
No, I see what you're saying. Like, I'm not exactly like movie for movie better way, but I'm just saying overall, like to me, like the past few Mission Impossibles are like my favorites compared to 1, 2, and 3. You know what I'm saying? Like I like Ghost Nation. Ghost Protocol.
I'm about to say that didn't sound right. Yeah, I was like, something doesn't sound right. Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation.
Yeah,
I like part 1 better than everything, and I like Ghost Protocol second, and then Rogue Nation third. Okay. But I agree. I think 1, 4, and 5 are strong films. I think 2 and 3 are forgettable. But like you said, I think it's getting better with age. It's just that there's a slight difference between 4 and 5. But nonetheless, it's getting better as we go along.
Yeah, and I think with what I've seen from Fallout, like I really like the potential of this, the action, the comedy. Like I just think it works, and the trailers had me hooked. So it's definitely something where I could see, like, okay, Black Panther, you're gonna be vulnerable, like with this movie. Like we'll see how it pans out, but it's something that I could see that could potentially knock Black Panther. And then another movie that comes to mind is Equalizer 2. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't expect this to be like the, a great script necessarily as far as like, acting wise.
But Denzel.
But I think, but at the same time, you do have Denzel Washington, and then you do have the action in this. Like from what I've seen, looks pretty brutal, which I like. So. Like again, it's definitely something where I don't necessarily expect it to, but I can't like just totally dismiss it because I really like the first one. I really like the whole vibe of the franchise, the whole vibe of where they're taking this. So it's definitely something where I could see potentially get into my top 3 as well.
All right, so none of these heavy hitters have a chance to sneak into my top 3, and I'll go on the record as saying that. If they do, I'll be surprised, because I'm not going in with a particular bias saying, hey, I'm purposely not going to enjoy you because I don't want you to be in my top 3. But if these films sneak into my top 3, I will be extremely surprised. But sorry to bother you. There's another movie coming out in July. Sorry to bother you might sneak into my top 3. Have you seen that trailer?
Nah.
Look it up when you get a chance. It's the same dude that the first one to get outed in Get Out. You know, the one at the beginning? Yeah. From Atlanta. I forgot his real name.
Oh, is it that movie with Tessa Thompson? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that looks very creative. Like it
looks creative. It looks weird. I like the cast members. I want to see them win. My first job was a telemarketing job. I had to put on a Southern white accent to pretend I was a cop. And I love the concept. So yeah, like I could see this movie like sneaking into my top 3 because I loved Quiet Place, but it's not safe. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even none of my movies are safe, to be honest. Like even Avengers, it's not set in stone for you guys. Don't get too comfortable. So that's something that I have circled on my calendar.
No, I'm different. Avengers to me is safe. That's safe.
I'm not gonna lie, it might be safe, bro.
It's gonna be good.
It might be. But all right, moving on to August. The popular films are Christopher Robin, The Spy Who Dumped Me, The Darkest Minds, Searching, Dog Days, AXL, The Meg, that shark movie, Crazy Rich Asians, Alpha, Mile 22, Slender Man, The Happy Time Murders, Little Stranger, Juliet, Naked, and Ken. A lot of romantic comedies and low budget sci-fi. Any chance that any of these August features will leapfrog your top 3?
Nah. Like those are 2 genres that don't really excel to me. Don't get me wrong, I love sci-fi, but not low budget sci-fi. And then romantic comedies, nah. Like none of those movies really came out to me. Like, don't get me wrong, like I'm a big Mark Wahlberg fan, but at the same time, Mile 22 didn't really do anything for me. And then a lot of these other movies are just unforgettable. Even like with Crazy Asians, like I like the diversity of the cast. I like the fact that they're actually, Hollywood's doing something like that. But at the same time, the trailer was just flat. Like I didn't get one chuckle, one laugh out of it. And I was just like, okay. And then the other movies you mentioned, none of them really did anything for me either. So it was at August? Nah.
Yeah, August looks pretty whack. And with Mile 22, it's not even Mark Wahlberg that I have circled on that cast list. It's, I don't know how to pronounce his name right, but Iko Uwais, because of what he did in The Raid. I do believe that Hollywood's lacking like their own. The thing that's most unbelievable to me in some of these action movies is that all of these American actors all of a sudden know how to do kung fu when you can't even find a karate dojo on any street in urban America. So it's like back in the 90s, I just remember you had your Jet Lis, you had your Jackie Chans, someone that it was much more believable when they did the choreography, to where I think there's a lack of that in Hollywood right now when it comes to diversity. So, I mean, I'm going to watch Mile 22. I don't think it's going to pop into my top 3. I don't know if it'll pop into my top 10. But still, Christopher Robin, I didn't even like Pooh Bear when it was in syndication. Like when they were releasing new episodes, I didn't even like watching that.
Yeah, me either. So I was never Pooh.
Yeah, like the Happy Time Murders, I'm not watching it in theaters. It reminds me of Sausage Party, to where it's like, it's a funny trailer, but I think the concept, I'll lose interest within the first 10, 15 minutes, and it's going to be the same joke over and over and over again. So I don't know if they could make me laugh for 90 minutes or more. So August is just going to be that month where it's like, I'm getting my fantasy roster together as I prepare for the upcoming fantasy football draft. But moving along to September, my birthday month. So I'm expecting a present. You have The Predator, The Nun, a lot of the titles, Peppermint, City of Lives, Operation Finale, A Simple Favor, White Boy Rick, The House with a Clock in Its Walls, Little Women, Night School, I know how much you love Kevin Hart movies. Smallfoot. Any of these movies you think could sneak into your top 3?
It's like at first I had The Nun on my list, but then I realized
Night School comes out that same month.
No. I think James Wan is only producing it. I thought he was directing it. So then it kind of killed my enthusiasm just a little bit, to where I was just like, it might be a nice spinoff, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get him top 3. Like if James Wan was directing it, I would definitely like have it, potentially in my top 3. But now I'm just like, it kind of like it killed my enthusiasm. So I did like the trailer, but I'm not sure, if this director has it, what he, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not sure what he can do yet. So I had to, it definitely lost some points with me. Night School, the trailer was okay. It was kind of funny, and then like I think Kevin Hart is a beast as far as his talent and what he can do. But at the same time, I don't think it's gonna be enough to get in my top 3. And then some of these other movies that you mentioned, like I didn't really see the trailer, or some of the concepts that I read about them, just none of them really appealed to me that much.
One of my favorite writers in Hollywood is Shane Black.
Mm-hmm.
A lot mainly because of his contribution to 90s films.
Yeah.
But I love Shane Black more than the next guy. But sci-fi wise, I mean, Iron Man 3 is basically a Michael Bay movie with better dialogue. I love Iron Man 3, but I watch it as a Christmas movie. So that's the reason why I'm a little bit more forgiving than others. But he's directing Predator, I believe.
Yeah.
And you might get some of the same stuff that you don't like about Iron Man 3 and the Predator. So I'm not really anxious to see it. I'm looking forward to White Boy Rick. It kind of I didn't really see Wolf of Wall Street coming like it did, even though Scorsese was attached. I just didn't expect to like that movie, but it was my favorite movie of that year, I believe. I would have to go back and check what came out that year, but I know I watch that movie like often with, like how some of your Blu-rays collect dust. That one, it gets dusted off like almost every 3 months, to where I'm watching that movie. So White Boy Rick kind of reminds me of that, to where it's like, oh no, I'm gonna watch this movie, even though a lot of people not really looking forward to it or talking about it. This might become an instant classic for me. Other than that, September, I'm just going to be enjoying my birthday, because I don't know if there's a lot of stuff that I want to see here. Moving along to October. Ooh, scary month. Venom. Sorry. Let me not show my poker face right now on what I think about some of these movies. Goosebumps. Like part 1, grew up with the books and TV show, so I'm actually looking forward to that. Halloween. Mowgli. Bad Times at the El Royale. Indivisible, First Man, Johnny English Strikes Again, A Star is Born, Unbroken Path to Redemption, The Old Man and the Gun. So any of those October releases could probably sneak into your top 3.
Let's see. Did you mention Beautiful Boy?
I didn't.
Oh wow. That trailer was pretty good, but it felt like I already know what the movie's gonna be about, but at the same time, it's just Steve Carell's transition from, comedy to serious has been one of the best transitions I've seen. Like he's really shown like how talented of an actor he is, how versatile he is. So with that trailer, like it was just something I really caught. Like I was just like, okay, this could potentially, get some Oscar buzz. But I'm not sure yet. Like as far as like, is it gonna be in my top 3? Not sure yet.
Are they gonna? Are you sure that's gonna be like a wide release, or are they gonna do it like Gringo? To where I felt like it's an Amazon Studios film,
mm-hmm.
and I felt like what they did was Gringo was they were trying to have it in multiple places at once, and because of that, they didn't really promote the movie like they should have.
I'm sure this gonna be.
So this is almost something.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be limited.
Yeah, that's the only reason why. This hasn't been too much on my radar, because I do have a Steve Carell movie, hint, hint, wink, wink, that I got circled on my calendar, but it wasn't this one.
Okay. And then the other big movie that stood out to me would be Venom, but at the same time, I think I'm with you on this one, where it's just like, don't get me wrong, like I like the costume, or not necessarily the costume, but the design of Venom, like the CGI of Venom. Like I thought they had that perfectly, but it's just the other parts of the trailer where it's just like, like it just, I'm not sure if the storyline is just gonna hold up for me. Where like, okay, this movie's gonna be in my top 5, or even if it's gonna be in my top 10. The only thing that has me hope is because of Tom Hardy and the design of Venom. Those are the only two things that I'm hoping like that can, you know, go above like whatever the storyline may be.
And well, for me, I'm not even putting Venom on there. It's like I have sentimental value for the Halloween franchise, so I won't be surprised if that movie sneaks into my top 3. So this is the first time that second time that I'm saying, hey, you know, I'm holding out hope that this may catapult some of the other films that I had listed in my top 3, mainly because Blumhouse has earned my trust. And one of their films sits on my top 5 this year, Cough Cough Upgrade, and last year, Cough Cough Get Out. So they're the ones that are rebooting Halloween, and I'm looking forward to that. Another movie that I'm looking forward to is Bad Times at the El Royale. Saw the trailer, saw the names that were attached. Drew Goddard, he directed Cabin in the Woods, which I liked, World War Z, which I liked, but he also was a showrunner for Defenders, which I threw up on. So who knows what you're going to get with that, but with that one, I wouldn't be surprised if I like that movie more than most, and it ends up sneaking into my top 5, top 3 type realm.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you're saying with Halloween, I forgot, like that trailer was pretty good. Like it felt, they took this more serious tone, like where it wasn't like this like conventional tropes, or like it just felt more gritty, more grounded in a way. But at the same time, you still have the fantastical elements of Michael. So I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, and Jamie Lee Curtis, one of the hottest, still hot to this day, you know, whatever. But let's get into November. Let's keep it professional. So November, Robin Hood. You got Fantastic Beasts 2. Not really sure what the subtitle is. I forgot. Creed 2. Roman numeral subtitle. I like that. The Grinch. Nobody's Fool. Nutcracker in the Four Realms. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Welcome to Marwen. Steve Carell. Bohemian Rhapsody. The Girl in the Spider's Web. Widows. And Second Act.
Okay. With this month, it's actually, because you're getting closer to like, you know, awards month. So 2 movies really.
I'll tell you straight up. Okay, never mind. You got a couple Oscar contenders.
Yeah. You got, Creed 2 for me, definitely could be in my top 3. I love Creed. Like it might be either my favorite Rocky movie or definitely in the top 2. Like I just love that movie.
It's my favorite. But I don't want to compare it to the Rocky franchise. I'm starting over. I'm not doing that. I think it's unfair to Creed. I think it's unfair to those original Rocky movies, because those first 2 are definitely like Oscar worthy pictures.
Yeah.
And then the other ones are so popcorn, but they're good.
Yeah.
I was one of the few who liked Rocky 1 through I like Rocky 1 through 5. You know, so and then a lot of people like Balboa better than Rocky 5. That's not me. So I enjoy the popcorn and I enjoy the seriousness. But Creed 2, Creed is one of my favorite movies. Creed 2, if it's 30% of Creed 1, I'm telling you now, I'm throwing it into my top 3 just cause. I love the first one, and the second one is one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and I could see this movie sneaking into my top 3, top 2, top 1. So we'll see.
Another movie I had circled is Widows. That's with the what's her name? I don't know why. Viola Davis, Michelle Rodriguez. Just the trailer alone, like I thought it was pretty interesting, an interesting take. And then like she's just a beast whenever she's in. So you put her in a gritty world where she has to, you know, get money, you know, because her I guess her husband was a criminal. They weren't really aware of it and all that stuff. Just the whole storyline just seems pretty crazy to me, but it seems interesting. And then anytime you have her, like, I would like to see, you know, I always enjoy her performances. So the fact that she's in this movie just puts it definitely on my radar.
Yeah, I remember you really loved Suicide Squad.
You did.
You laughing now,
No,
but it's
that
recorded.
is true. That is true.
Exactly. You laughing now.
No, I'm just laughing because I'm thinking you're gonna put like the Fences or
I know you thought that, but I'm not letting you live that down. I kept telling you. I said wait a year because this movie's not good. But you and PD wanted to gang up on me. Pause. But if we talk about Oscar contenders though, before we get into Oscar contenders, another one that I'm holding out hope for. I love the Harry Potter franchise, and I'm holding out hope that Fantastic Beasts could measure up, even if it's half the franchise that the Harry Potter franchise was. It took a while for the Harry Potter franchise to rev up, you know, because I know as the movies get older and count, you know, they tend to get better. I'm hoping with this one, I don't know if it's just me watching adults fighting off evil. It's just I'm not as enthused as watching kids do it. So I'm hoping that movie could be great, but who knows? Bohemian Rhapsody is another one of my most anticipated. I'm a sucker for biopics when they're done right. Like, one of the things that I love in biopics is the budget. Like, when you watch Ray, the crowd looks realistic. Like, Ray was selling out stadiums. And when you watch the movie Ray, it looks like he's performing in front of sold out stadiums. When I watch other movies like the TLC biopic, the Whitney Houston biopic, even the New Edition biopic, which I like, when you look at the crowds, it looked like they just grabbed a couple people off the street and then filled up an empty room, and the room still looks empty. But with this Bohemian Rhapsody, it looks like they gave them the budget. They spent the money to do it the right way, from the trailer at least. And then the crowds look legitimate, so that means the performance will look genuine. And I personally think Freddie Mercury has one of the most iconic voices of all time.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people in my circle don't know who that is, but they know all of his music. So I think this will introduce them to him because he lived like a rock star. So it's an interesting story, you know, even how he died, you know, AIDS. So it's like, nah, this is like same type of storyline you got with Eazy-E, you could get with him as well. And I think they deserve a biopic, and it looks like they're going to get a good one. So I think this is going to be like an instant classic.
Yeah. I think it has a definitely. I always forget how to pronounce his name, but I think it's Raymond Malik. Like,
who
he's
that guy that playing him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say his name anytime. So, yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he went through like a great transformation.
That upper lip thing that he got going on, the hair lip.
Yeah. And like you said, like, just their discography, like, oh man, like, they have some of the most classics. Like, they're just sampled constantly, and you just hear
hits for days.
Yeah, like, you just hear them all the time, like with trailers, with Suicide Squad, hint hint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like. They're definitely one of the greatest, you know, bands, and he definitely has one of the greatest voices of all time. Anything
else for November? It's a lot of stuff in here. I don't think we even touched it.
Yeah, you mentioned you kept hinting at the Welcome to Marwin.
That's the thing. I haven't watched the trailer yet, and I'm not going to watch the trailer. I'm going to see this movie opening weekend just from the poster alone, because it's like a lot of the movies that we have on these lists, I haven't seen these trailers. Hope, like you were talking about the first month, July, you were talking about Mission Impossible. I've only seen that trailer once.
Yeah.
And that's only because of Super Bowl.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's like, I've been staying away from trailers. A lot of my most anticipated is built off of people telling me, hey, Couch, you should watch this. Or me reading the description on IMDb, me looking up the cast. I try to stay away from trailers nowadays. I've been telling you that for the last 2 years, and I'm dead serious. I haven't seen the trailer for Welcome to Marwin, but it is something that I have circled on my list. And Steve Carell is one of those guys that I want to see win. I think when it's all said and done, you're going to remember he did The Office, but you're going to remember him more as a dramatic actor versus a comedic actor.
Oh yeah, same here. I think he's going to actually transcend it. Like, he's one of those like it's one of those situations where like wow, like you know what I'm saying, like you said, people
You
are gonna
were a
remember.
40-year-old virgin? Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Like his career trajectory is just so fascinating to me. I'm with you with Welcome to Marwen. Like the trailer, I've seen the trailer. It didn't really hit me, but at the same time, like the director, the actor, and the trailer wasn't that revealing as well. So it wasn't like
So I could watch it and then not spoil anything for me?
yeah, like it was just they're just like it just like hints like okay, this is like miniature characters, like they're real, like so but like you said, like just for the names attached, like I feel like okay, this could be something good, something great even, like but I didn't necessarily have it, you know, circled for me, but like we'll see.
All right, so now the big finale, December. I got Into the Spider-Verse, Bumblebee, Aquaman, Mary Poppins, Alita, Mortal Engines, Under the Silver Lake. Any of these movies have a chance, Hope?
For me, no. Like I'll put I guess Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with the asterisk, only because like I love the trailer so much. Like I thought like the camera work that they did with that, the design and the set pieces and the just the whole style of that animation, like I really feel like okay, if they have a decent script combined with what I've seen from the trailer, like if the whole movie's like the way they did the trailer, like okay, this could be a nice theater experience. But that's about it. Like that's the only one that maybe I could have circled, but not necessarily where I'm like, okay, I definitely can't wait to see this movie. And then
I'll
ahead.
say this: Spider-Verse look like it's gonna be tight. We already think that. Y'all better cross y'all fingers with Aquaman. I'm not a betting man,
Yeah,
and if I was, I wouldn't be betting on DCEU at this point. And Bumblebee, I don't think it's a chance that it sneaks into my top 3. I don't think it's a chance that it sneaks into my top 5, but I will say Bumblebee might be better than the previous Transformers movies and actually put the franchise on the right course for once. It's the first film that Michael Bay isn't directing for that franchise, and he's producing. And I think he works better as a producer. Keep in mind, I did put one of his produced films in my top 3 list, which was A Quiet Place. So did you. So keep that in mind. The other thing is, am I the only one that's kind of hype about the Mary Poppins?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I already know I'm the only one. I'm weird like that, but Sound of Music is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not joking. Like, I love Sound of Music, and I love Julie Andrews' voice in that, and I love her voice in Mary Poppins. So that's like basically the lady who played Mary Poppins. She went on to have a successful soap opera career. But I like Emily Blunt, but I never heard her sing. Yeah. As long as she doesn't auto-tune like Hermione was doing in Beauty and the Beast live action remake, I'll sit tight and enjoy the show. But the best part about Mary Poppins to me is the music. And if you're going to remake that classic, you better find actors with voices. Don't be, using that auto-tune crap. But I'm actually holding out hope that that's close to the original. And they've surprised me with what they've done so far with some of their live action remakes. Like I thought Jungle Book was good. So that's that. But like you, I don't really see any of the December movies sneaking into my top 3. I just think I'll like Mary Poppins. I think I'll like Spider-Verse. And I think I'll laugh at Aquaman. I think I'll laugh at Bumblebee. Alita, I don't know. James Cameron isn't necessarily a home run hitter every time at bat now. So we'll see. But other than that, it looks like you're on the same page to where there's nothing really in December that could probably sneak in. So I'm actually anxious to hear from you guys. Is there any films that we missed? And I actually want to hear, what are your top 3 films for the first half of the year? And what upcoming films could jump into your top 3 as the year progresses? Let us know in the comment section or hit us up on Twitter or wherever you want to reach us. So all in all, guys, it's about that time. I want to thank you guys for joining us. If you like what you heard, share it with a friend on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you go for your podcast. Don't let this be the last time you hear from us or we hear from you. Support the show and become a sponsor by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/CouchTomatoFilms. Also, join us next week and check out the show notes on where to find us weekly. It's Couch Tomato Films on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and Couch Tomato Film on Twitter. Other than that, peace.